You already have a question.
Ah.
Can you say a few words about element collection and how it should be used in the solution? Is element collection covered in the lectures?
Yeah.
All right. People haven't joined yet, but they probably will be in any second.
Is this from the forums or is somebody?
No, somebody. I don't know how this actually got on there. Someone must have been early to the.
Let's take a look at the.
So we'll start up in just a second, as soon as people join. Does it seem to be working?
Let's see here. Let's just go to the forums.
Oh yeah. All right. People are joining. Okay. People are joining. We'll be starting just in a second. Let's see. Want me to bring up some browsers for you?
Yes. Let me pull up GitHub repo.
All right.
Walk through the assignment that was just released.
Let's see. You'll have to figure out what the repo is, but
okay.
You know how to do this, right?
Yeah, I think I'm in good shape.
Okay, I'll be around. So.
Okay. Now let's see here. All right, well, it looks like we've got a number of people that have joined. So welcome to the third virtual office hours for the mobile cloud computing, the security class in the sequence. So the core thing today that we're going to do is we're going to answer any questions that you have about the current assignments and then go over quickly assignment 3 and answer any questions that you have. So I'm going to go ahead and screen share here so that we can talk through the next assignment that has just been released yesterday. Okay, so if you go to the Mobile Cloud Security repo, you should see the assignments directory, and then within the assignments directory, there should be 2 new folders, assignment 3A and 3B. The naming is designed to match the naming from the previous assignment. So if you go and click on assignment 3A, you'll see that it states that 3A is designed for people who completed option A of assignment 2. And the idea behind these assignments is to create the Android client that's going to talk to the server side that you created in assignment 2. So if you completed the server side for option 2B, you want to do assignment 3B so that you can create a client that will work with the server that you created. Similarly, if you created a server for assignment 2A, you want to complete assignment 3A. And this is a very, mini project, very flexible in how you go and complete it. It's pretty wide open. And the basic thing you're going to be doing is you're going to be going and creating the client and adding OAuth authentication so that you can get access to the server and be able to post videos under your user account. So if you completed the previous MOOC and and if you did option 2A, you should have completed the last assignment in the previous MOOC, then you've already got a client built to some degree. that you will be adding OAuth into. So if you're doing assignment 3A, this is really assuming that you're continuing on the work that you did in the previous MOOC. You built the video service, you built a client for the video service in the prior MOOC, and then in the last assignment, you added OAuth and user accounts to the server that you completed previously. And now you're going to be taking the client that you created in the previous MOOC and you're going to be refactoring it a bit to add OAuth authentication to it. So again, assignment 3A, it's really for the people that want to continue on with the sequence of assignments and building towards having a sort of very complete, simple video server for uploading video from a phone and getting metadata and being able to like and unlike videos. The basic thing that you're going to want to do is you want to create a client that can display, and there's more details on this in the README, but the basic idea is you're going to create a client that can display the list of videos, which you've probably already done. But in order to make that work, you're going to have to integrate OAuth authentication into the communication with the server. And then you're going to be able to upload videos, use a SQLite database and content provider to persist video metadata, and then also enable people to click on a star rating for a video and have that sent to the server. The videos that you provide can come from a UI that you create, or you can be grabbing them from the various services. Like, for example, you can use Intents to record videos on the device, or access the previously recorded videos and get those and upload them to the server. You have a lot of flexibility in how you complete this. In order to make, because the OAuth communication can be pretty substantial in getting it up and running and working with retrofit, we've provided you some skeleton code and sample code that will work in Android to go and create, and you should have seen this in the previous assignment, but a secured REST builder. So the idea behind this is it provides something that's very similar to the retrofit builders that you've used before, and in all the tests from the previous assignment, you should have seen this secured REST builder being used, but this is a slightly modified version that will work well on Android. And so you can use this in your code, or if you want to do all of the OAuth authentication yourself from scratch, you're more than welcome to do that. Either way, when somebody launches the application, you're going to want to have a login screen of some type where you're going to collect username and password, and then you're going to need to either pass it down to the secured REST builder, or you're going to need to pass it down to your custom OAuth authentication mechanism. We're going to be providing an implementation of the unsafe HTTPS client, and just as a reminder, although it's documented here and in the client as well, the reason we're providing you this code is because the server side uses an unsigned certificate. And if you try to access that using the normal libraries on Android, the normal HTTPS client, it's going to throw an exception because it won't be able to authenticate that the certificate is valid. So the unsafe HTTPS client gets rid of all of the validation of the certificate. As such, you should only use this for testing purposes and creating this assignment. Real world, you need to go and get a certificate that's been signed by a certificate authority that's recognized, and then you wouldn't need this unsafe HTTPS client. So the assignment 3A is creating a client for assignment 2A. So if you created assignment 2A, you want to create the client with assignment 3A and be adding OAuth. Assignment 3B, I won't go into too much detail, but it's basically the same thing. It is for those who completed assignment 2B, which was not assuming that you had completed the assignments in the previous MOOC. It will be creating an Android client for accessing the video service. And we have some links to existing code somewhere here. So here, and we'll update the formatting on this, but if you need help getting up to speed, here's an example client from the previous MOOC, and you can go and take a look at this. You can use as much of it as you want, in building your initial implementation, but there's a lot of hints here, a lot of example code that you can use to start with for assignment 2B. If you're, or for assignment 3B. If you're doing assignment 3A, we're sort of assuming you've already got a lot of this client code and you don't need this, but of course you're welcome to use it as well. But if you're completing assignment 3B and you need somewhere to start, we have a lot of client example code linked here that you can go and use. The basic idea is you're going to be creating a client that can use OAuth to authenticate with the server and then get the list of videos. Now, you don't have to upload binary video data. You just have to upload the metadata, like the titles of the videos, since you didn't complete those earlier assignments from the other MOOC to do the binary upload. But you do have to be able to upload some basic textual data around the videos, authenticate with OAuth, and then be able to like and unlike a video. So all of this should align with the server that you completed for assignment 2B. And just like assignment 2A, we provide you with the secured REST builder and unsafe HTTPS client to make it easier to get all of this set up and working. All right, so let me stop sharing now and we'll take some questions. Okay, first question. Can you say a few words about @element collection and how you think it should be employed in the solution? And this is, I'm assuming, for assignment 2. Was @element collection covered in the lectures? I don't believe @element collection is covered in the lectures, and you don't have to have it in order to complete the assignment. Now, if you use it, that's great, and you can complete the assignment using it, but it's not something that's required in order to complete the assignment correctly. It's one possible solution is to use @element collection, but it is not the only solution, and it's certainly not required to do so. And I don't believe it's in the videos. It may be in the videos, but I don't believe it is, and that's part of the reason the assignment was designed, so that you don't have to use @element collection to complete the assignment. Is there a way to graphically see the relationship between all the beans and where they are auto-wired? That's a good question. I am not immediately aware of any tools that provide that. The Spring plugins for Eclipse may provide some of that. I'm not sure, though. But that's a great question to post on the forums and see if anybody else knows of a tool to do that. I don't know of one off the top of my head that allows you to see all of that, but it would certainly be a very, very useful tool. So please post that question on the forums, and let's see if anybody knows of a tool that can provide that. This was related to another question. And this code snippet, @autowired protect void register authentication, throws exception. Where's the authentication manager builder being defined? It's a little bit hard to know what you're looking for because of the code snippet is out of context of the configuration. My guess is what you're working with is you have the OAuth code that was provided, and that configuration inherits from, and let me go ahead and try to open it up here so that we can talk through this and see if I can provide some more context. So let's go to assignment 2A, auth, and I'm assuming this is related to the OAuth 2 security configuration. And let's see here. That code, I'm trying to look for where that code would be. I think, all right, so here's the @autowired and the authentication manager. Where this comes from is somewhere, my guess and I haven't looked in where Spring is actually defining it. It could be in the authorization server configure adapter, or one of these annotations that ends up triggering and importing another authentication or set of configuration rules, that those have the authentication manager defined. You could always override it yourself, but the default one is being provided by Spring somewhere. And Spring Boot is when you add in the security starter and the OAuth starters into your Gradle. Spring Boot is automatically going and adding additional configuration into it. Now, I don't know exactly where in their configuration they define the authentication manager. One way that you could find that out, more than likely, is you could probably either put a breakpoint, or you probably, I'm just trying to think through the easiest way to do this. One way to do it might be to put a breakpoint in the constructor, or actually in one of the other methods of that configuration class that's going to be called. When that breakpoint gets hit, you'll be able to see the actual concrete class that's being used for the authentication manager that's being provided, and then you could go put a breakpoint into the constructor of that concrete class, and you would be able to see who's creating it, more than likely, by looking at the stack when the constructor is being called and where that's coming from. That's my guess as to is the easiest way to solve that problem and figure out where it's coming from. It's not an easy place necessarily but there may be some easy way to trace this down that I'm not thinking of. But that's the first thing that comes to mind. Where it's being defined is more than likely in either one of those annotations that says that's enabling security is probably causing another configuration to be pulled in, or the configuration that we're inheriting from. I didn't drill down into it, but it may be traced up into the configuration we're inheriting from. This is, yes, so that's the context of where this came from, which we were just talking about. Okay, let's see. Okay, and that was from that. Okay, are there any other questions related to either assignment 2 or assignment 3 or any of the material so far? Okay, well, we'll wrap up in 1 second, but just as to go through things quickly again, since I see a few additional people have joined. Assignment 3 is really creating a client for the server side that you created in assignment 2. If you completed assignment 2A, you should be doing assignment 3A. If you did 2B, you should be completing assignment 3B. And there's an expectation that you're going to be essentially adding in security to the client so that it can authenticate with the server. If you're doing assignment 3A, you're welcome to use the existing client that you built in the previous MOOC and just add security in, so it'll now authenticate with your server. If you're doing assignment 3B, please take a look at some of the sample code that's provided of clients and take a look at them, and feel free to use any of it that you would like. There is some confusion about the verified certificates. If you could provide a little more detail, or if this is something I can follow up on the forums, we'll take a look at it afterwards. The certificates from the previous course should be going out. I'm not sure why. There were some bugs apparently in Coursera's grading system and release. So although we released the grades weeks ago, for some reason the certificates are just going out, as per my understanding. All right. Well, if there are no more questions, then thank you for coming to this office hours, and we will have another office hours next week, which I believe should be after the deadline for the 3rd assignment, and we'll be able to, or after the deadline for the 2nd assignment, I believe, and we should be able to walk through the solution next week. Thank you so much.